That is the biggest way that you get affordable housing done, is through federal government tax credits, and that's what I would propose and try to work to do.
Thank you.
Affordable housing to me is inclusive housing, because we have to include low income and subsidized housing. So we can't forget about Tampa Housing Authority, because that's almost kind of the brink of maybe homelessness if you're on a waiting list for 3 years. So it has to be inclusive to low income. The city of Tampa has folks that have liens on their property. So if you have a lien on your property or several liens on your property and you can't afford to pay that lien, if the city will forgive those liens, you sell that property to the city. We can do what we did back in the 80s and the 90s. We can provide those properties to nonprofits that are truly providing affordable housing for our first responders, our firefighters, our school teachers, educators, that are helping to get them into the homes that they can obtain, stay in, and what's affordable. Affordable is kind of a unique word, because if I can afford a home on Bayshore, it's affordable for me. But I have to be able to afford the home. So I have to have a good job. I have to be able to get to that job that's going to allow me to pay for that home and stay in that home. So I think if we go back to...
Thank you. She's got it. Thank you, Ellen.
Again, experience for someone who have to find at a moment's notice homes for people. Affordable housing, the federal government has deemed 180 to 220. We have a housing crisis. We need low income, working, market rate housing. Statistics show that when you have mixed level incomes in a community thrives. It builds up. We have to have that. We can't have low income housing all in East Tampa. It needs to be 4 quarters of the city, so we have 4 quadrants for everybody. The developers, my solution is to work with the developers, to look at the density of our city, to look at the overlay, the comps. I think they're outdated. That way we can be able to look at the overall picture of housing, and I think it'll help us solve our housing crisis with some small legislation ordinance as well, to make sure that everyone's doing their fair share and making sure that we're doing what we need to do for housing.
Yes, with affordable housing, what's going on in West Tampa now is a lot of redevelopment. And within that redevelopment, there are so many units that's going to be for low-income residents. They call it mixed-income living, mixed-income housing over there. There's several ways. Everybody came up with a lot of good ideas. There's probably some other ideas we haven't even heard yet. But one would be, as developers come into our community, we probably need to raise our impact fees. And these impact fees can be used for quite a few things. Also attached to affordable housing, we need to look at the homelessness. That is an issue that you don't hear too much about, but it is an issue to me, and I think it's an issue that we need to look at, is raising these impact fees, and also maybe even looking at the TIF funds that CRAs may have to assist with that, especially with rehabbing a home. And that would be my plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, if I could wave a magic wand, our neighborhoods would look like this. On the corner would be a big house. I don't know, $400,000 or $500,000 house. Next to it would be a $200,000 house. Next to that, maybe several $100,000 houses. We would have a neighborhood where everybody had a place in that neighborhood and could live together. Okay, so I'm going to wake up now. That's not going to happen. Affordable housing. We have to really define that definition. Affordable housing is affordable to the people that currently live in that neighborhood. It's not affordable if the people who already exist there cannot live there. We need to, when we have a chance, just like we did with the domain homes, we need to make those multifamily housing.
Thank you. Next up, we appreciate your patience with this many candidates and giving them all an opportunity to speak. This is a lot, but we're going to try and get through as many more questions as we can.
Excellent. Mindy Murphy, and my question is, fast forward to March, you've been elected in your district, and you can only accomplish one improvement or change in your term. What would that change be? Why would you pick that? And what would success look like?
Well, thank you, Mindy, and thank you for the question. So I've got one opportunity to make a change in Tampa, and the program I'd like to implement is going to be a mentoring program for businesses. We need economic development in East Tampa or District 5 all throughout. And I would like to actually take small businesses who are struggling to get to the next level and get them mentored through contracts through this with the City of Tampa. Currently, well, East District 5 is a majority minority district. More than 50% of the residents in District 5 are African Americans. You probably did not know, though, that as the city spends money on their contracts, only 2% actually go to African American businesses. I'd like to change that with a mentoring program that would mentor businesses to get them to the next level so we could have economic development.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, mine would be wages and job creation. I would like to see the City of Tampa to do what St. Petersburg did last year, to pass a hiring ordinance where the contractors coming into working on city projects, they're required to hire so many apprentices and so many ex-felons, hard to hire individuals. I believe these that will help with affordable housing, the wages, and I think if we can adopt that, but that may be difficult with a strong mayor type of government that we have here in Tampa. So we need to probably look at our city charter when it's up for review to give city council a little bit more bite.
To make communities thrive, they need jobs. And a lot of communities, especially East Tampa, they can't get them because of employability. I like to work with the HR director of the city to where when you go to that website and they're trying to find a job, they click the banner in the box. When you go to interview and you tell them your story, 9 times out of 10 you don't get that job. We need to make sure that when they click on that website and fill out that application and it goes through and they're passing the screen, it goes straight to the reentry program the city has, but no one really knows about it. That needs to be boosted to where people can understand how they can get on a job, how they can get benefits. And if they understand and someone's telling them and giving them training and certificate, when developers come, when city jobs arise, they're able to be on a job site and be able to get some benefits for their family and take care of themselves. And to me, that's the most important thing, is capital and making sure you can make a living for yourself. Because if you can make a living for yourself, you won't take, you won't rob, you won't steal, you'll help others.
Ms. Mindy, I think I would connect communities. If I'm connecting communities, then we're connecting them via transportation. So we've upgraded our transportation upgraded our transportation here in the city, and we're connecting them to job centers, which is going to provide them with higher wages and a connection to the community. If I live in a part of town, but I work in another part that maybe pays a higher wage, I've got to be able to get there. And I shouldn't have to spend an hour in traffic getting there. So we can connect our communities, connect our port to USF, connect downtown to West Shore, and West Shore to the airport, and we have great transportation that's going to allow people to get to those areas and get to those jobs that may be providing a higher wage. I think that would be my one goal I would do as a city council member.
Hey, can you repeat the question again? Can you repeat the question again?
Go ahead, Mindy.
So you have won your election, and in your next 4 years in the term, you can only accomplish one change, one improvement for the city. What would it be? Why would you pick that one accomplishment, and what would success look like?
Okay, the city needs to have an economic stream. The first thing I would do is get with the public works director and find out how we can take 80 million gallons of water being dumped in the bay and make it a profitable money-making venture for the city of Tampa. We're dumping 80 million gallons of the Howard Current into the bay, and that's water. Having served on Swift Mud, that's an asset. Water is a problem. You can't develop without water. So we need to make sure we take that storm water, not super the tap, because there's problems with aquifer storage recovery, but to find a way by getting with Swift Mud, asking for cooperative funding grants, which I've worked to get millions of dollars in the city of Tampa for stormwater for cooperative grants with Swift Mud, and find a way to make that money. And the way that would be determining if I'm successful is that we're making money from the 80 million gallons of water going in the bay, and it's being used. It could be reused, it could be reclaimed, but we need to look at assets that we have, and an engineer can do that. And that's what I did do. I do engineering, I solve problems, and I want to put it to work for our city of Tampa.
Thank you. There's 147 people a day moving to the Tampa metropolitan area. We can talk about everything we've talked about, but there's one thing that you cannot live without, and it's on your table. Been here for over 300-400 million years, called water. I have been working on changing what Mr. Robinson said. And we are working, and we are very close with SwiftMud and others. However, we took one vote at Tampa Bay Water, and we fell 2 votes short, because I gotta depend on Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough County, the city of Newport Richey, the city of St. Pete and Tampa. We received 4 votes, and they had 5 on their side. So now that vote's coming again in February. We need 6 votes to get it, to do exactly what Mr. Robinson said, to get that water and turn it around, make it drinking water. You see, that solves the problem for 50 to 75 years from now. However, if we don't get that vote, we got a problem. Thank you.
Charlie, with all due respect, you've been on council off and on since 1974, and you're the longest serving member of the water board. You haven't solved it in those decades. I don't know why we expect something different now. With that said, my platform is addressing transportation, addressing affordability, inclusivity in neighborhoods. The core way that we can do that is with zoning. And the biggest thing we can do with zoning is addressing our density bonus system. We can reformat our density bonus system where instead of choosing 3 out of 10 criteria to get higher density, we do a points-based system. And that points-based system encourages affordable housing. It encourages green energy. It encourages green space. This is the way where we make this city fully integrated. This is the way that we guide development along mass transit corridors. This is the biggest way that we prepare for the enormous amount of growth that we have coming into this city. This is where we preserve our character going forward as a city. We preserve our history of diversity and being the next great city. Thank you.
Revitalization. Revitalization of communities is going to be a massive movement, massive movement. We have to make sure that all our communities and all the people of the city of Tampa have a better quality of life. We have seen so far the center of Tampa do so great, but we have enclaves of Tampa that have not done too well. We have to make certain that there is that connectivity. We have to make sure that their environmental protection is in place. We have to make sure that historic preservation is in place so that people have the dignity, the right to have the dignity for the preservation of their culture. We have to have people that are ready to go to work. I spent 18 years of my life writing curriculum, preparing people to go into jobs, to take these jobs that are coming into Tampa that are critical for us to have. So if we don't have a brain drain, let's make certain that we are preparing people to go into work, making those wages that are critical for them to have a better quality of life. Let's make our communities better all the way around. Revitalize, massive revitalization is critical.
Thank you.
I'd have to agree with you. We need to work on transportation. Transportation will help people get better jobs because right now we cannot count on our bus system. They come anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes. So if you have someone looking for a better job, they cannot find a better job because they can't show up on time. And that is one of the complaints that I hear when I talk to people in East Tampa and about what are their concerns. They say they cannot count on the bus system. Part of this new affordable, part of the transportation tax will have more increased bus service so people can use it and find better jobs. You have better jobs, you get better pay. You get better pay, it'll be helping with the affordable housing as well. So we need to work on that. It's a starting point. But that's one of the things I'm concerned about is our transportation.
Charlie, the only thing I can't live with on my table is bread. I can't live without bread. La Segunda bread. So I spent 30 years as an air traffic controller, so one thing is not even in my scope. I juggle hundreds of airplanes and keep them all going at the same time and bring them home safely. Expanded economic opportunities, safety, but climate readiness is probably something I haven't heard. You know, we live in one of the most vulnerable metropolitan areas in the country. We all know that it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Rising sea levels, threats from hurricanes, we can't wait until it's too late to prepare for these things. On City Council, we need to start that dialogue, work with the next mayor to make sure that Tampa is ready, so we protect our public property, harden our facilities, and protect our private property. It's something that's too critical. You know, the wind blows softly and water comes over the seawalls. There's areas of this town along the river and along the on the east side of downtown that are very vulnerable to climate change.
Thank you.
So climate readiness.
Basic needs. Basic needs. On May 1st, when we get sworn in, the first thing City Council has to do is elect a chair and a vice chair. Next thing we're going to have to do is look at the mayor's proposed new budget. We are going to receive tax dollars from this 1-cent sales tax. Our job, basic necessities, roads, well-lit roads, fire, police, take away the waste, liquid and water, fix our infrastructure, put the monies in place to make sure that our infrastructure is taken care of, not only for today, 4 years from now, and for your children and grandchildren.
Thank you. We're going to do one more question in the interest of time, and depending on how long we get through, we may do one more, but